Let's just talk a little bit about what it's like bringing your child in for play therapy. So for me, after we make our first contact, whether you contact me on the website, you email me, anything like that, I will set up a caregiver session with you. And a caregiver session is when whoever interacts with the child will meet with me, and oftentimes will be right here on my couch. Sometimes it's helpful to make it virtual, so that way we can get as many caregivers as we can at that. Because for me, more people is more information, and I want to get information about your child, so let's get you all on this call. And during that caregiver session, we do all the boring stuff like limits of confidentiality, legal things about how this all works, how long a play therapy session is, which, by the way, it's typically between 45 to 50 minutes, and that's mostly based on how much cleanup I have to do the next hour. So that session, we also get to talk about what's bringing them in, what's bringing your child in, what is maybe some things that you would share as strengths about your child. It's really good though to get a session like this before I meet the child though, because for one, I want to make sure that I'm the right fit for them before I ever start building a relationship. And the other thing is, there's probably questions that I'm going to ask that you may not feel comfortable about sharing with your child yet. And so that's our first session. Then our second and third session are child sessions. And I'll actually kind of show you over here. So over here is a lot of my play area. You can see my ukulele, my kitchen, my cube with the toys and whatnot. I also have a whole sand tray set up over here where you can play in the sand. I've got some musical instruments. Over here I've got some games, all depending on what the child kind of is looking for. But during these first two sessions with the child, what we're doing is we are building a relationship. Actually, that's one of the first things I say to the child is our goal today is to get to know each other. And that's our first session is like. Now, in child-centered play therapy, which is how I start my approach typically, the toys are words and the play is a language. And so, really, the most effective way that your child can communicate with me and get something out of therapy is through playing rather than talking. And there's some exceptions to this where some kids pop on the couch and want to talk about things. But if your kid comes out and they're saying that they're just playing in here, well, just know that that's probably the most effective way that we can communicate and connect at this point. Because through play, we build relationship, we build emotional regulation skills, we build social skills. We can process trauma through play. So depending on the developmental level of the child, that might be the most effective way we can possibly do therapy with them. Then, session 4, we have another caregiver meeting. And so you'll be back at this again. Typically, less caregivers come to this one, but you're all welcome. And during this session, we talk about kind of treatment goals, if there's any kind of assessment I think I need to do, if to kind of figure out the form of therapy we're going to do, the rhythm of therapy. Typically, when we're starting play therapy, it's good to start a little bit more recent because you think about how kids view time. A week is a pretty long time period, so weekly is pretty good to start off typically, or every other week, depending on what we need to do there. But as we go through therapy for a while, the goal is to spread out sessions a little bit and eventually make it so maybe you check in with me every once in a while, or maybe not come at all eventually. I do have a goal to become obsolete as a therapist eventually, so the goal is to no longer see you eventually. But yeah, the other thing is to figure out in that fourth session, maybe some parenting stuff, because in that first session I don't have a whole lot of feedback because I've never met your kid. And also what kind of therapy we might need to be doing. So, for instance, some people, just staying with that kind of child-centered approach that I mentioned before is the best thing. Some people, we need to do some EMDR play therapy. Well, we do a lot of that in my room because just notice the name of the website. And also sometimes we need some family therapy. There are some children I see, especially those who are a bit neurodiverse, so they experience ADHD or autism, where about every 2 sessions, it's me back here and the caregiver back here with the child, and we're doing some kind of activity together to focus on social skills, uh, connection, or emotional regulation. A little bit more targeted, a little bit more in relationship. Because here's the thing, as like the parents, whether you're back here for some sessions or not, depending on what the treatment plan says, I really need your help on this because I get them for 1 hour a week or every couple weeks, and you have them very often. So we'll work as a team and expect, if you're doing therapy with me, to be part of it. As we're going on for therapy, if we're doing therapy for like kind of ongoing. I like to meet the caregivers about every 5 weeks as another parent session. Sometimes it's a little bit closer together if they're younger kids. Sometimes if we're getting to my teens, we might go months, but still, it's really important to get that communication going. Outside of those caregiver meetings, though, I really want an email update from you before any session. So that's a little bit about the process. If you're interested in reaching out, please and ask any questions.